Some history made over the course of the weekend. Let's get into it. 100% hockey. Kelly Hrudey is going to join us in just a little bit from Hockey Night in Canada, but it's Millard and Shannon here with you. The Carolina Hurricanes, the first team in the salary cap era to get through the opening two rounds undefeated, 8-0.
And first team since, I believe, the 1985 Oilers to win 8-0, and the Oilers actually made it 9-0 in that series, in that season, when I think they only lost 2 games through the whole playoffs. And that's, when you think what Carolina has done, I have been so impressed with every aspect of their game. They have not really, and Rod Brindamore would disagree with it, but it doesn't appear that they've made any mistakes. I mean, sure, they've fallen behind once or twice, but they seem to be able to recover. Right. Once or twice in 8 games. I mean, they seem to be able to recover. They seem, they play the game with such speed. That line that they have put together with Blake and Hall and
Stankoven
and Logan Stankoven,
yeah.
They're calling them the number 2 line. I'm not sure you can call them the number 2 line. They're the number 1 line. But and Taylor, tell you what, I have never been the greatest advocate in his career for Taylor Hall. He has. It is a great story what he has done in his time in Carolina. A great story. I thought trading for him was a mistake when they got him from Chicago, but he has, particularly in these playoffs, he has been amazing, absolutely amazing.
I thought it was just an add-on, to be honest. When that deal went down,
in the trade,
I didn't get it either.
Yeah,
I didn't get it either.
Yeah, I mean, you just thought it was part of a money swap. Yeah. But he has. Oh my goodness gracious! But but even you can even hear it in his voice, Darren. You can hear him really be appreciative of his time in Carolina and what Brindamore does for him and what his teammates are and the culture of Carolina Hurricane hockey. It is very impressive.
And then you've got Montreal and Buffalo involved in a pretty good series.
Yes, but if you look at the body of work in 3 games, and I know there's ebbs and flows in every series, but it's difficult to think that Montreal's not the better team. Montreal's been the better team for these last 2 games. The game in Buffalo, game 2, where they were pressuring the Sabres all night long. Turnovers in their own zone, the Sabres were guilty of. I didn't blame Alex Lyon at all for what happened in game 2. I didn't like him in game 3. So, but it's funny, after that Tage Thompson goal, 53 seconds in, it was almost like they relaxed and said, "Oh, we're back." And then Montreal came full bore. Montreal was really impressive.
Any issue with the Norris play? The sucker punch? Well,
Ridley Gregg got 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't
think it was as overt as that. I know that there's
but
you're splitting hairs there.
Yeah, and it was in the center part of the event on the ice, the Norris one, where Greg was away from where some of the action was. I don't know. It did cross my mind that Ridley Gregg got 2 games, in which Josh Norris is he going to get fined? What's going to happen? Is there but this, we're finally seeing some hatred in this series, and it's not going to get any easier for either team.
Anaheim has impressed me through the first round and a half with their ability to defend.
Well, 2 things. Yes, they're much better defensively than they were in the regular season, and then they were in the first 3 games against Edmonton. You're correct. But it speaks to what the coaching staff in Anaheim is able to do with adjustments. And that's why you have a guy that's won 3 Stanley Cups behind the bench and empowering his other coaches to be part of it. So they are able to find a way to enjoy a change in the game, and the kids are jumping on it. And he, Joel's not afraid to bench Mason McTavish. Beckett Seneca played 11 minutes one game. Just reminding everybody that the team is bigger than the individuals. and the players, the veteran players, the young players, seem to have bought into it.
A little frustrated, I got to be honest, the last few games because of Mitch Marner's brilliance.
Yes.
And there isn't a national commentator that I've heard talk about it without somehow connecting it to Toronto.
Yeah. Well, imagine if you're frustrated what Mitch thinks or Mitch's family thinks, because that's a narrative that will never go away, Darren. It will never go away. Fair or unfair, it's a reality. I thought Marner was magnificent with the hat trick. I thought he was pretty good in game 4 as well. He's played very well. But
that new line with Howden and Carlson has been great. But he's doing exactly what Vegas wanted him to do, needed him to do when they acquired him.
Well,
to take it up a level in the playoffs.
Here's the other thing. It also, with the return of William Karlsson, it has changed. I think it's changed a lot for Mitch and allowed him to go back to playing his game. Don't you think?
Yeah. Well, on the wing too.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I prefer him on the wing. If I was a coach, I'd put him on the wing. I wouldn't put him at center, even though Mitch would play goal if he had to.
Yeah,
Mitch would play defensive. He would do anything in order to try to win.
Even when he was playing center, Brett Howden was taking a bunch of draws on that side. So he was. It's weird how you can still be a centerman but not take a majority of the draws. It's fluid is my favorite word when it comes to that kind of things. But no, it's just he's doing exactly what he wanted to do in Vegas, but it's still that holdover, that hangover from the Toronto side.
Well, it speaks to the disappointment that Maple Leaf fans are. That their team is bad. B, that he left town. And see that he was never able to do what he did the other night for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He never had a playoff hat trick for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's not out of spite; it's out of frustration. And I think you can understand that. Mitch is at it's almost you could almost do a master's degree and create a thesis of Mitch Marner and the love affair in Toronto, because it's an amazing up and down story of a local kid wanting to play for the team, contributing every way he could, and then becoming the scapegoat for the futility, not just of a franchise, but of that 23-man roster over a 6 or 7 year period. He became the scapegoat. There was no question about it. Nobody was blaming Morgan Riley. Nobody was really blaming William Nylander or Austin Matthews. It was all Mitch's fault, in the simplest of terms. So I'm sure that in the end, that the move that Kelly and George made to sign him to a long-term deal after the trade, now is, hey, this is the player we got. This is the player we wanted. And he's contributing on every level.
Vying for the scoring lead in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So we'll get into the goaltending side of it as we continue 100% hockey with Millard and Shannon. Kelly Hrudey just joined the green room. We'll get into his thoughts on what we're seeing in the Stanley Cup playoffs next as we continue on the podcast.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament.
Us against the world, boys.
To the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
Get into the goaltending side of things on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. Here's Kelly Hrudey with us. Do you remember a year where we've seen so many teams use multiple goalies?
Well, isn't that the trend?
Yeah,
yes,
it is.
Right. So I'm not against it. I mean, when I came up in the league in 1983, Al Arbor was a big proponent of that. Right. So we were always with Billy Smith, and Rolly Melanson was there. and we would always rotate through. And then at one point, though, in the playoffs, Al, of course, would choose one, and usually it was always Smitty. But I am not surprised, and I think that it makes perfect sense. If you, as an organization, do your due diligence, you should be able to find 2 or 3 guys that you can rotate through and save somebody from the grind where, and I did play in an era as well, or at a time when we played a lot. Like one year, I can't remember exactly the year I got traded from New York to LA. I played 66 or 68, and I wasn't tired, so it wasn't that. But I do think that it's better for a team if you have a platoon.
Now,
in the playoffs?
Yeah.
In the playoffs too, Kelly?
No, not in the playoffs, not at all. I'm suggesting just for the regular season.
But you're a selfish.
We've seen a lot of guys play multiple goalies here.
That's funny. No, I'm not selfish, John. I think that in the playoffs you've got to choose a guy, and for the most part, although he can get help, right? Like even Billy Smith, he won 4 Stanley Cups, and Grant Fuhr, big, won a million times. There was help. There was always Andy Moog to help at times, and Billy had Rolly Melanson a couple times come in and help him out through a series. Tom Barrasso had that with Frank Pietrangelo. So there are many cases where you can have a little bit of help, but the guy, typically, he is your guy for the entire playoffs.
Well, the one team that hasn't platooned is Montreal. And obviously, Jakob Dobich has now become a bit of a folk hero and quite a story in this series.
Right. Last night was game 3 was crazy with, he's really emotional. He's even talked about it. He works with a guy by the name of Pete Fry. You probably know the story. And Pete isn't a technical guy. I've known Pete forever, but he's all about the mental aspect of the game. And so Dobich has worked with him for 2 years, I believe. He was a little hesitant at first because it seemed scary, right? Like this guy's going to talk to me about my mental approach to a game and how to get through things. But he is so into a game. I love it. I do think, and I said on the broadcast last night, because Kevin Bieksa was like, maybe it's a little too much, and I kind of get that as well. But I think that because Dobich is only 23 years old, that he'll kind of outgrow that a little bit. Like, who wouldn't feel the love when you're at the Bell Center and they show your image on the screen and the fans go crazy? I guess of course you're going to smile. Of course you're going to be emotional about that. That would be a really cool moment. But at the same time, this game and life has a way of turning on you quickly. And when it turns, it can, all that great, emotional rah can be shoved right down your throat.
So where do you think that the turning point for him was this year? Because it was a roller coaster for that team, that organization in the crease.
Well, I think there are a couple of things. I think that that night in which he lost his first game of the regular season, and he really was hard on himself and blamed himself. Maybe all of us would think a little bit too much. And that's when, once again, his friend Pete Fry stepped in and helped him, with the adjustment about what's real and how do you move forward and so on. But I also think he got a bit of a break because I'm not sure that the organization saw this playing out this way. Sam Montembeault, for whatever reason, never got on track, and that was just surprising to me. I mean, I was in Montreal a month into the season. Well, 2 things. Montreal's in Calgary, I think the second week of the season. I was in Montreal about 2 weeks after that, and Montembeault was working really hard with Eric Raymond, their goalie coach at the time, and he seemed like he was close, but couldn't quite find his game. And, nobody ever saw him, go in this direction. Nobody. I mean, he was a great goalie. He was on 4 Nations team last year, and for whatever reason, he couldn't find it. So that opened the door for Dobich, and he has just been, riding the wave right now. And we've seen this a million times in the game of hockey and sports. A guy gets a great opportunity. He's young. He's a little bit naive and doesn't understand the consequences and just takes advantage of it.
is the emotional side like Dobich goes through, is it sustainable, Kelly?
That's a great question, John, because oftentimes it isn't, right? It's so emotional and you're riding that wave, but that wave eats up a lot of energy. And that is something that we will see. I mean, I know the approach that Pete Fry takes with him, so I think he's helping him understand that. But oftentimes a more level approach is more sustainable, right, John?
Well, so but to that point, how would you define Dobich's style? I mean, because if he's not, I don't know how much coaching he's getting at all about the technical aspect versus the mental aspect.
It's a combination.
Yeah.
Marco Marciano does a great job with the technical side, and I think the technical side he's solid. He's really, really good. But what I find for him, it's his positioning and what they've told him to do. So maybe not quite as much in the Buffalo series because I think they're worried about the skill on Buffalo. But in game one, we saw it, and he kind of got picked apart. He is very aggressive, and they've told him, and it's clear from the video, they've told him, you focus on the shooter and nothing else, and we'll take all the backdoor plays away, we'll take the passes away, and you don't have to worry about any of that. And then it didn't work in game one, and I thought he became a little less aggressive, and that's perfectly fine. You've got to read every situation. You've got to read the games and the skill that you're facing. And, John, to a certain degree, and Daren, this as a former goalie, maybe not a former, maybe a goalie.
I was going to say, he still thinks he's a goalie here, Kelly. It's unbelievable.
I'm a guy with gear.
Dominik Hasek taught all of us, didn't he, that you can play deeper in the net. And all of us thought that it was going to be a failed experiment and Dominik was going to be proven wrong. Well, he was proven right because of all the Europeans that were coming over, and they were shooting less and they were passing more through the crease and the high slot and all that. And so that's where Dobich will learn a healthy balance. Yeah, you should be aggressive at times, but there's nothing wrong, and you can get away with sitting back a little bit more. Now, not maybe as much as Henrik Lundqvist, and Lundqvist, it worked for him, but man alive, he played so deep. That must have been so hard. Very few guys can get away with playing that deep.
Would you have appreciated having a guy like Pete Fry around when you played?
I would have. And to a certain degree, I got a bit of help because I didn't know it. And you guys, we talked about this one time. I didn't know it in 92, 93 when I started to go through some mental health stuff that what was affecting me. And I was able to work with Tony Robbins.
Right.
So Tony Robbins, he extended my career by about 5 years. So yes, of course, I would have loved a guy like Pete Fry to help me understand what I'm going through, what the position requires. Because goaltending is, it's like a quarterback or a pitcher. It's got to be 80, 90% all mental because you can do it. You've proven you can get there. You've proven that you can stop a puck, but how can you do it on a nightly basis?
And just to follow up on the Pete Fry thing, he's a former goalie. So does that make a difference? Not just having the psychological support, but actually having a guy with a goalie background?
It does for me, and maybe it shouldn't, but it does for me because I talk to a lot of goalie coaches out there, and it's interesting because they are so good, so technical. And on occasion, I'll mention something to one of them about a situation in the game, and they'll go, "Oh, I didn't think of that." Because they're so dialed into the technical thing, they don't think about maybe the human side or what the brain is thinking at that very instant when you've got to make a decision.
So at the other end of the ice, Alec Lyon. By the way, would you make a change for Game 4?
Oh boy, John, I got wrong for Game 3. I said that I would have put in Luukkonen. I didn't like the second goal by Matheson in Game 2, and I thought that was a perfect opportunity to put in Luukkonen because I feel, and I think I was proven wrong. They hitched their wagon to Lyon in Game 3, and that proved to me that Lyon is their guy. Right. And so, but now Lyon's given up 9 in the last 2 games. Is this the time to make a change? I think there would definitely have to be a long conversation about this.
So let's put that mental discussion back in play here.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Luukkonen and they have elected to go with Lyon in Game 3, where's your headspace? And how would you say? Well, I'm going to prove. I mean, I assume I'm going to prove everybody wrong,
right?
But how would you then approach Game 4 if they said, we're going to go with you now?
That's a great question because I don't know him well enough, but I would think that would spark him to do exactly what you're saying. Like, screw you.
Yeah.
You pulled me in Game 2 of the Boston series. I had basically 5 periods, and you decided to, these aren't his words, they're my words, to discard me. And now you want me to win the series back again in the next round. But that can be a great spark, right? That can be fuel. And so it depends how he uses it. I think he will. I mean, he's at that age, you guys. He's 27 years old. He's got to make a name for himself. Like, it's great that, he's had some pretty good regular seasons, but you've got to do something in the playoffs to get people to go, oh yeah, he is a number one guy. He is, he's a guy that can be counted upon. Maybe the comparison, you guys, would be Jacob Markstrom. Remember, he was touted as the number one prospect for years and years and years.
Right.
But he could never really do anything at the National Hockey League level until he got to Vancouver, really dedicated himself. And I remember saying on the panel, okay, you know what he's done to me? He's proven that he's a National Hockey League goalie. And then after about a year or two, I was like, you know what? Okay, he's now proven to me he can be a number one. And then he just kept getting better and better. And he was about the same age as Luukkonen now. And so that's the step that he's got to take to really maybe try or get the organization to trust him, go, yeah, he can be the guy.
Sometimes options can create dilemmas, though, right? It's good to have depth. It's good to have different paths, but it can create challenges for the head coach, like we're seeing in Buffalo, like we're seeing in Colorado and Minnesota with options.
And that's good. That's healthy, I think, because it proves that you have depth. If you didn't have options and you're like, okay, well, this guy's really, we don't truly trust him, but we trust the backup even less. That's a bad situation to be in, right?
Yeah.
So, and I saw Bednar's comments. I read it this morning, so I'm not sure if it was from yesterday or today. And that wasn't like a glowing thing about Wedgwood. It was not, right? No. It seemed to me that they're going with Blackwood for Game 4. And that kind of makes sense to me. I know Luke Gazdic said it on the broadcast a couple nights ago. Blackwood is the guy. He's in kind of the same category as Luukkonen for me. Like, all sorts of potential. I was told by Rolly Melanson when Rolly was the goalie coach in New Jersey that he's going to be a future star. He just loved him. And for whatever reason, he's had a good career, but he hasn't been a star. Maybe a chance in the playoffs. He hasn't played since, April 13th, I believe. So that's a long time to be without game action. We'll see.
Played all 7 games for them last year in the playoffs and hasn't been able to get a start this year. We'll see what happens.
Right. It's funny you talk about that because I still remember back to that great Bruin team that Jim Montgomery coached. And they lost that 7-game series to Florida.
Yeah.
And if memory serves me, he went with Linus Ullmark after alternating his goaltenders all season long.
Yeah,
but he went
right.
with 6 straight games with Ullmark before he said, Game 7, well, we better change because we're not playing very well. That sensed to me like a panic move. I wonder in Buffalo. I mean, to your point, they probably should have gone. I mean, hindsight's great, but go with Luukkonen in Game 3. But it puts him in a really tough spot for Game 4.
It does.
Absolutely.
Really
Tough spot.
Because if you would have gone with Luukkonen, if it if it didn't work, you can easily go back to Lyon and say, well, we gave him a bit of a rest. He's a guy that has gone on really good runs, but not lengthy runs, really good short runs, Lyon. So it would have been easy to explain a night off. And now you've put Luukkonen in a tough situation. But having said that, he is they put him in the category of a number one. He's got to fight through a tough spot, right? That's what the game is. You've got to find a way to fight through when the odds are against you, and then you make a name for yourself.
What's the time limit where you would feel rust going back in? Would it be a week off? Would it be 2 weeks off?
Well, for me, it would be about a week.
Yeah.
But I can't speak for every goalie. I think most of us, though, would say that if we don't see pucks for 2 days, 3 tops, we're now playing catch up. So, wow. And I'm not talking about game action. I'm just seeing pucks. Like when we'd have a little bit of time off, and let's say the Christmas break. Oh boy, coming back for me was murder, because there's nothing like a game where there's traffic, there's a little bit of incidental contact, there's all this stuff that you have to deal with, and in practice you don't get it. Days off, it's really hard. That's why I'm gonna go off topic here. That's why pilots, fighter pilots, they're in a simulator all the time, because you have to be in the area. You can't just sit at home, go on a week vacation, and then all of a sudden get in a CF-18 and fly around. It's game action is hard.
If you're going to talk about that, you should be wearing your uniform.
I know. It's still in my closet. One of the great experiences of my life. And oh my gosh, are those people ever brave? Crazy.
So you tweaked me to another one, and we're going to go down another rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And so what's Freddie Anderson going through now? He's got 11 days off.
Holy. Well, Freddie might be the one that only the one guy you go, this might be good for him, because his body is so beaten up. I'm going to call him fragile. I don't think that's a stretch. And for Freddie Anderson, because I think all of us are on eggshells, right? We're like, oh boy, when is the next Freddie Anderson injury?
Right.
But for him, I think this might be good. He's a funny guy. Is he when he's on, he's as good as anybody I've ever seen, and looks as relaxed as anybody I've ever seen. But the underlying problem is we're always like, oh, is he going to come out next period? Because he's had so many injuries that's just where the mind takes us.
Let's take a break. We'll come back with more with Maverick and John Shannon and Daren Millard on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
You look around and the teams that are still going, and there's one guy that's won a Stanley Cup, Adin Hill, and he's backing up right now. We got this group of starters or platoons going right now that have never gone all the way. Kelly, what are we looking at here?
Well, we are looking at ever-changing world and position, and Adin Hill, you're around him daily. And I covered you guys, Vegas, once or twice near the end of the season. I know you and I visited in Vegas, I think the last 2 weeks. And
I snuck up on you.
Yeah, well, we had a nice chat. I wonder what Adin Hill's going through, because it hasn't been the easiest of season. Clearly, John Tortorella has chosen a guy that he's familiar with in the past. And oh boy, that would be tough for Adin Hill. That would be a tough pill to swallow. As you mentioned, Stanley Cup winner, And now I am sitting on the bench, and there looks to be no light, right? It looks as though John Tortorella is going to go with Carter Hart. But for all the other guys that you're talking about, what a great opportunity. Like, I can put my name on the cup. I'm going to be remembered forever, and I can do great things and make a name for myself in the world.
So it is kind of a changing of the guard, though, when you think
It
about,
is.
you know, how old is Dobich? How even Dostal's he's not old. There's a bunch of young goaltenders making a difference.
100%. Dostal, though, isn't he funny? Like, now they got rid of John Gibson, and it was Dostal and Husso now backing up. But Dostal had a better year last year because the pressure changes, right? So he had a really good year this year, but he had a way better year the year before. And now you're that guy, and you're viewed upon differently. The pressure's different, and he's had a good playoff. I didn't think he was great in the first round versus Edmonton. He was, good enough, and Anaheim played amazingly well in front of him. But you've got to figure it out somehow. Like it is such a hard position that there's so many highs and lows, and you've got to find a way to navigate being at this level, not this level and not this level. And that's where he is as well.
And we should add Jesper Wallstad to that too. I mean, and again, John Hines has made the right choice for the right games, correct?
Absolutely. And I did say after Gustafsson came in, and I didn't like the third goal he gave up to Waugh that night. So it was easy to go back to Wallstad. Now, this is where we're getting, I love this conversation because it's nothing about technique. It's about who they are as people. So Wallstad, if you go back in his history, last year, the organization, they were mad at him. And those aren't my words. That's John Hines. When we had John Hines in Calgary, he freely said that the organization, they were mad at him last year because when they sent him down, he pouted. He went down to the minors, and he had a terrible year. But good on the organization because they didn't give up on him. They worked with him, and he came back this year, and he was motivated. He had a ridiculously good year, including, which was the turning point, a great start to the year. And it's not that Gustafsson was bad. It's just Wallstad was so amazing. And so I like the organization because they let the guy recover and, regroup from what he did to himself. And so that's a great story.
Well, here's the fascination for me in Minnesota. And we saw a little bit of this at the Olympics. They have a young Slovakian, Halavai.
Yeah. He
played in Iowa this year.
Yeah.
Is he ready to play in the NHL? And the way they're going with Wallstad, I know we're in the playoffs, but we're going to talk about does that make Gustafsson expendable?
Most likely. And if that is the case, you're getting a great goalie. Like, I've been a fan of his for a long time. And so if in fact that does happen, somebody's getting a goalie that could change their course.
Bill Guerin seems to be able to play in the cards well because he's every time he does something, his team gets better.
And you guys can correct me, but what was the line like when he was picking his Olympic team? He wants whiskey drinkers, not milk drinkers. And so,
yes,
I like that because that's exactly right. You need guys that, they're in the battle. They tip, a glass of whiskey back, and we're old time gunslingers. I like it.
Just not between periods, okay?
Right. No. Oh, my gosh. I tried that one time, John, in a charity game.
You did not.
I was in my I just finished my second year in Medicine Hat, so I was like 19 or whatever, 18, I guess I would have been. And there was a charity event before training camp, and somebody gave me a beer in the intermission because everybody was drinking beer back then for the charity event. Oh my gosh, I think I let in about 8 goals the next period. Having one drop of alcohol before you play sports, bad idea, I can tell you that.
Doc Halliday's not going to play in the National Hockey League anytime soon. Did you play the guy at the other end, or did you just play the next shot?
A combination. Yep, that's it. You can tell that you played because, so first of all, Daren, before every single puck drop, it was after the anthem typically, I'd look at the other goalie and go, it was a self-talk, is Kelly, you have to outplay that guy. It was very clear to me. I have to outplay that guy. It doesn't matter if the score is 2-1 or 6-5, just outplay him. But as soon as the game went on, then I broke the game down in 5-minute segments because it was more manageable than thinking I had to be perfect for 60 minutes or overtime. So I thought I could be perfect. I convinced myself I could be perfect for 5 minutes. And then it was just one shot at a time. And when I was scored on, just make the next save. The goal was very simple. Make the next save. Don't worry about the next flurry of saves. Don't worry about the next power play for the other team. Just one simple goal.
Would you ever acknowledge the other goalie?
That's a great question. Yes, but mildly. So our good friend Greg Millen that passed did something incredible to me. So my first shutout in the National Hockey League, we're in Hartford. Millsy was the goalie at the other end. We won 1-0. Millsy was chosen the second star. I was chosen first star, so I come out and I wave to the crowd, and there's Millsy at the other end acknowledging me. He had his stick up in the air, and I was forever grateful. So I remembered that, and so to a certain degree, I would acknowledge the other guy had a great game, but
like for instance, second and third period when you're doing the crossover, there would be no nod, there would be no eye contact.
Not usually, no, unless I really knew the guy, like Mike Vernon or maybe Ron Hextall, guys that I knew away from the rink, then maybe, but not usually. It wouldn't be anything that people would think that's awkward. Like I'd never pat him on the pads or anything. It would never, I kind of learned that from Wayne Gretzky, right? Like Wayne had a million friends in the game, but you'd never know it. Like he was never chatting people up. Now there's no right or wrong. Like Bernie Nichols, you guys would remember, he was chatting with everybody. Bernie just loved the game, and he had friends, and he'd tap everybody, and he had a smile. But I like the old school way more, where I've got friends, but I'm not going to acknowledge you.
I'd be aware of Ron Hextall too. I wouldn't be patting him on the pads though.
Oh my gosh, Ron and I got to know each other in the '87 Canada Cup. Grant was playing every game, and Ron and I were rotating as the backup for every game. And he was a really fun, happy-go-lucky guy. I didn't know that. I only knew him as this competitor that was over the top, but he and I got along so well, and it was fun getting to know him.
Is this your 30th year now on Hockey Night?
That's a great question, John. Don and I were talking last night. You invited me in 1995, and I remember the conversation. I got home from Chicago. Yeah. We missed the playoffs by a point, and you asked me if I'd be interested in coming to Toronto to work in the Atrium show at the CBC building. It's a brand new year. You're going to do a rotation with Ron and Don, and then Ron and somebody else, and I was your second choice. And Wayne Gretzky.
Who was my first?
Wayne Gretzky.
Oh, yeah.
I think you remember that. And you said, so I'll get back to you. But if you are interested, great. Thank you. And so, you know what, John? It's 31 years now.
31. Okay.
Crazy.
Because the following year, you actually made the playoffs. So you couldn't join us right away.
That's right.
And then we got Glenn Healy.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Healy was the goalie of record for the show because, as you know, I only hired goalies.
I know, which was a good choice. You know what you did also? This was a great thing by you because I think you were trying to help me in a subtle way. So I can't remember if it was my second or third year doing. I did it 4 years as a player. You were kind enough to invite me in. One day, I don't believe you told me this was happening the day before, but on the panel in the atrium now is going to be Ron McLean, myself, and Greg Millen. And Millsy was there, and oh my gosh, because he was a few years ahead of me in the broadcasting world, and he was like this pro. He was polished. He was amazing. I remember looking at him when he was breaking down something, going, Oh my gosh, Kelly, do you have a long way to go? And that was a great thing you did, because you were very kind to me, very helpful. You gave me a million tips. But that was a great lesson as well, because you were like, Kelly, if you have any interest in doing this post-career, this is the level you have to get to. And Millsy was a great standard to try and get there. Never quite got there, but Millsy was just the best.
Was that on purpose, John, or was that just a byproduct, what Kelly's talking about in seeing what Greg did?
Honestly, I think it was a byproduct. There had to be a reason. I was probably looking at schedules and saying this would be a good day to get two guys in, just to, quite frankly, and both of you guys would understand this. One of the great challenges of doing, and Kelly, you've done it all these years, is not doing the same bloody thing every night.
Yeah.
And using the same slogans, and then, saying, and then saying, well, you know what, I said this 2 nights ago. Well, and find something else to say, and so it was probably we were probably into a situation where just to get rid of the boredom and find a way, or we had an extra 25 minutes, because in those days we were doing the Canadian side and Fox was doing the American side, and they would delay the puck drop 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And so we needed, it would be hard to listen to Ron and Kelly for 25 minutes. Let's throw another body in there and they can have a better conversation. So it was probably, I'd like to think that I was smart enough to say that, Kelly can learn from Greg, but it wasn't that. It was, we needed to find a better way to fill time.
Well, and the panel was born, basically.
Yeah, and I'm not a big panel guy. I still am not. I would rather see the byplay between two people. And I loved when you and Ron got into things, Kelly. But then, things evolved, and everybody decided they had to copy the National Football League, whether you were in Canada or the United States, and that's how panels really got it. That really developed.
Hey, Daren, you have to. John will remember this. We had this little like a green room behind the set. It was kind of like in a storage room or something, right? Yeah. And John gave me the honor of naming it. And it was really cool because, as I said, I was still a player. And I remember in a preseason, maybe that same year, when I was finishing off on Hockey Night, the LA Kings, we went all over the place for preseason games because we were promoting hockey with Wayne Gretzky, and we were in Portland. I love Portland, Oregon, and all of us went to this little bar called the Lotus. And so we named our little green room the Lotus, and it stayed that name for the longest time. Even Ron, on occasion, still calls our green room the Lotus.
When we moved to Rogers, we still called it the Lotus.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
yeah. That upstairs room.
Right? Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Where are you going to meet? Well, I'll meet you in the Lotus. Oh, yeah, right? I don't know that.
I got to be honest.
Most people don't know the backstory, right? There's a little bar in Portland, downtown Portland, Oregon, that I fell in love with. It's an amazing place.
By the way, great beer in Portland, Oregon.
Yes, they do.
Henry Weinhardt's.
Yeah, I've had it.
Henry Weinhardt's beer. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I worked out of there for 6 years. I had no idea why they called it Lotus.
Yeah, but you're a young gun.
That's amazing.
We actually did lots of cool things in television before you were born, probably. Hey, before we let you go, just your pal Scott Oak is retiring.
Wow, what a human being. I learned so much with Scott. Scott and I were together for years and years and years, and to know the family and know the journey that Scott's been on. And Scott, hey, listen, he's had a miraculous career. We're all envious of it, but the work he does with the foundations, with the addiction centers, Bruce, and then now Anne's opening up shortly. That is stuff that will forever exist, and that's how the Oak family will be known. I love him. He and I still talk often, and he changed the course of my life. Like, I love the guy.
Well, and let's face it, Bruce was living in Calgary a lot at the time, Kelly.
He was, yeah.
And you were there to try to help Bruce, right?
Well, on occasion. I mean, it was hard, right? And so we haven't gone on the journey with the family. That would be ridiculous because it's their journey.
Right.
But we've all witnessed it and we understood what they were going through. I remember the day Bruce passed and Scott called me. It was, wow, what a emotional day.
Yeah. Hey, you missed a couple of days because you and one of your daughters were running a project for epilepsy. Is that right?
Okay, so two things recently, John. So yes, the pin I wear on my lapel every night, it is in support of the 15 million people worldwide living with epilepsy, the same as our grandson Maverick. And so, and there's 130 people in southern Alberta living with epilepsy. And so we do a fundraiser every year. This year, I think we raised about $140,000.
Wow.
In Calgary. And also, I missed 2 days because we had our third grandchild. We had Ozzy, our first granddaughter, born a month ago now. And so, yes, there are good reasons not to be on air. And I'm happy to say that I'm given the time to go home and experience those things.
And I love that you do it too. Like it's just,
oh my gosh,
I'm going.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure. At this point in my career, you know, I most likely years ago I'd said, gosh, I can't be away from work. Now I'm like, yeah, there's something way more important than work and I'm going. And yeah. And if it costs me my job, it costs me my job, right? We're good.
I don't think it's going to cost you your job.
And you know what? In less than 2 weeks, I'm going to Edmonton in the midst of the playoffs because my nephew is getting married. So my brother's oldest son is getting married. And I'm meeting Donna and the entire family in Edmonton. My mom will be there.
Wow.
And yeah, so we're going to be in, John, you know this little place. The wedding is in Beaumont, just south of Edmonton, southeast of Edmonton.
Good golf course there.
Is there?
Yeah, really good golf course.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Take your shoes. Take your shoes, Kel.
Yeah. I don't think
bars in Portland.
I
can
can
get
do
you.
That, but
I know golf courses in Edmonton, like bars in Portland.
Hey, John, I was yesterday, I don't know why, because we're going on the show with Daren and you today. I was kind of reminiscing through our history, and I was thinking we used to go to Winnipeg for the golf tournament in the summer and play at Witt's course. And oh, boy, what memories. And yeah, so fun.
Well, and not only that, the boys at Copper Point in Radium.
Oh, yeah, right?
The Kelly Hrudey tournament.
Brian Shaw, my buddy at Copper Point.
Big Brian. I saw Brian last summer.
Yeah, right.
And one of the great events, but I'm a little ticked at Copper Point.
Why is that?
Because my picture got taken off the wall for some reason. I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
You know what? I bet I know what it is, John. A fan stole it. They saw it on the wall, so they came in after hours and they stole your picture.
They decided
it was like the Winston Churchill portrait in at the hotel that somebody swiped. That's what it was.
No. They decided to put the men's or women's, whether it was a men's or women's washroom instead. So that's what they did.
That's funny.
You sound good, man.
This way.
You sound good, Roots.
Yeah, I am. I'm really good. Same to you guys. Yeah. This was fun. This was so fun. I loved it.
We've got to catch up once you're done all your obligations. But it's great to know that you're flying high, Maverick in the sky, and flying high with Maverick.
Listen, you could be in Vegas for the final. You know that, huh?
We could, for sure. Oh, darn it.
Darn. I got some haunts around here that we can visit,
I bet you do. Oh, yeah.
Thanks
to Kelly Hrudey. We'll be back with more 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
Sure. You guys go to the final. I'll still be in the home office, sure.
Face Off Inside the NHL returns, taking you deeper behind the scenes than ever before. See it all from the star-studded Four Nations Face Off tournament
Us against the world, boys.
to the adrenaline of the Stanley Cup Playoffs.
I'm scared of you guys.
With candid interviews and backstage access, experience the sacrifice, the rivalries, and the determination that define NHL greatness.
Just when I thought last year couldn't be topped, here we are.
A new season of Face Off Inside the NHL. Watch now only on Prime Video.
Goaltending, the situation that we're seeing right now. Do you think it makes a difference that none of these guys have to go through like a Kelly Hrudey, like a Patrick Waugh, like a Dominic Hasek, that they're all the same.
What do you, I don't understand what you mean.
Like there's no heavyweight on the goaltending side right now, remaining in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, no, I don't think that matters because every one of those guys has enough of an ego to think that they're a heavyweight. Every one of those guys thinks they're elite. Don't you think? Don't you have to think that as a goaltender?
You can believe, you have belief in yourself, but you're also not having to go through an established star.
Yeah, but again, we rarely do we see a group of goaltenders in the 8 teams remaining. 5 of the guys are under 24, 25 years old. We often don't see that.
Like who's over 30? Freddie Anderson?
I think Freddie's just 30, isn't he? Or is he a little older than that?
No, he's a little older than that.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to be nice. But that's what I mean. We for years and years, goaltenders don't get into their. We don't feel they're not any good until they're 27. So now we're.
Which I believe.
You do?
I think you can be good before that, but you're not ready for prime time before that to really carry it. There's the odd exception, but I do believe that too.
Yeah. Well, there's 4 or 5 guys disproving you this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do have to wonder. Now, none of these guys, though, if you look at the 8 goaltenders that are still alive playing, none of them played 45 games this season. So it's not as if any of them are exhausted. So, Kelly talked about Grant Fuhr in the days of 70. Marty Brodeur played more than 70. Connor Hellebuck, we used to lament Connor Hellebuck at Winnipeg when he got to 60. He'll be too tired in the playoffs, and he was. None of these guys have played 45. So that there is probably a chance that they're a little more fresh than some of the veteran guys were in their prime when they were dominating in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, Dostal would probably be the most for games played this year.
And what was he? But he missed time because of injury, right?
Yeah, he played 56.
He did. Okay, I apologize. Yeah. So I'm wrong. But he, he's the exception this year rather than the rule. And by the way, he did go to the Olympics too. So that's another aspect for him. It's the goaltending's fascinating. Old school hockey guys will say, I don't think that Dobich can keep this up and be so emotional. You have to stay focused. But then, and it just tweaked when Kelly was talking about it. It tweaked me. Benoit Allaire retired yesterday.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, Benoit. They announced his retirement from the Rangers. And Benoit Allaire was one of those goaltenders, again, who was with Henrik Lundqvist and got Lundqvist to play on the goal line. But Benoit was one of those guys that tried to do a really good job of making sure goaltenders were relaxed and try to make sure that, hey, you know what? Once in a while, a perfect shot goes in. You can't worry about it. You just play the position. So that at a time when playoff goaltending has become as much mental as it has been technical, it's interesting to see how things are working out with some of these goaltenders. Dobich, you know what? I saw it firsthand. Benson was chirping him after the goal he scored against him in Buffalo. Last night you saw Dobich chirping the Sabre bench at a point after one of the goals. I'm not sure in the end anything positive can come out of that for Dobich, just because, goals go in. You're not going to go 16-0 in the playoffs. You're going to lose, and so you're going to have to pay the piper every once in a while.
Kind of like it.
Oh, no. It's fun. It's enjoyable to see, but you look at it and once in a while it'll come back to bite you in the butt. It will. You know that, right?
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're a goaler. At least that's what you tell me.
Or I thought you were talking about like chirping. And it comes back to bite me.
That too. That'll bite you in the butt too.
Don't have time for it right now, but I'm going to get you down a path in the Carolina Hurricanes when we next get together.
Well, we have some time.
yes, we do. And that's what I was leaning on. I wasn't going to try and force something today, but I do have a path that I want to explore with taking your shot. And that's what the Carolina Hurricanes have done the last couple of years. And it may not look like it on the surface, but sometimes it always works out in the end. We'll get to that as we continue in the 2026 Stanley Cup Playoffs. So 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. We'll talk to you next time.